Well, hello guys, welcome to Musings of Mavri. I am your host Mavri, and today we're going to be doing something a little bit special. I'm going to talk about my thoughts after attending the live viewing of Poppin'party's 7th live as part of the Bandori 7th live, whatnot. It is actually also Poppin'party's 7th live as well, 11th if you count their pre-major debut days, and also the second time they've returned to Budokan. So yeah, it's a first for me to do something like this in video format. Let's see how it goes, right? So I thought I'd like to talk a little bit about how I got to Bang Dream in the first place. It actually started when I was looking for some other music anime alternatives to K-On! And Show by Rock. Personally, I do love the subject matter of girl bands. I listen to a lot of in real life girl bands as well, stuff like Bandmate, Guitaric Spin, Scandal, and so on and so forth, Cynthia, Love Bites, the list goes on. They have a very good, very thriving girl band scene, which unfortunately is not that famous outside of Japan. And even within Japan, their popularity is, people have heard of them, but it's not big, right? Scandal is probably the only one where you can say, okay, they are a household name. But anyways, that's another matter. So back to this, after looking up some music anime, I discovered the season 1 of Bang Dream. I know that a lot of people actually have a lot of criticism over it, and to be honest, I have my own thoughts on this as well. Like, there's a lot left to be desired, right? I did make a series where I rewatched it and talked over it, which is also on my channel. So if any of you guys are interested, you can go watch that as well. I'll probably put a link up there or down there. Anyways, so at least that was enough for me to get hooked on the Bandori franchise, and well, I started learning more, right? I wanted to know, okay, is there any other content I can see? Once I saw the live concerts, I was completely hooked. And Poppin'party quickly became my favorites for various reasons. First of all, I really like the story of how they were formed and how they eventually got to where they are today. I'm a huge sucker for these kind of things, these grassroots kind of stories. My favorite girl group, called Momo Yellow Clover Z, they're an idol group who basically started out playing on the streets, in the parks, all the way up to, you know, doing dome tours and also hosting live concerts at the National Olympic Stadium. So from starting out from like just a few people who are watching perform to these huge venues where like 50,000, 60,000 people attend at the same time. I really love these kinds of stories. And Poppin'party is the same, right? When they started, they performed at live venues where I think maybe 100 people attend, and now they've had a repeat performance at Budokan, which hosts 10,000. And apparently their next goal is to be at a dome, which is 3 times larger, at around 30,000 people. But we'll get to that later. So anyways, I love that entire story. I also like the technical proficiency of the seiyus. You know, the whole idea that they are voice actors, but still actually play these actually fairly hard songs. That was mind-blowing to me, to be honest. And I touch on this actually a little bit more also within my Season 2 reviews, but honestly, whatever you think of Poppin'party's music, it's probably harder than you think from a instrumental perspective. So I was completely at a loss to say, okay, these girls are actually the real deal. So that is that. And afterwards, I'm a fan up to now, and then 7th Live is announced, right? So personally, I was very hesitant on attending this live viewing because I have never watched a concert through a live viewing before. It somehow just feels like it's not going to be as good as being there live, and if you're watching it on a screen, why not just wait until the Blu-ray is out, right? But as I was debating this, I found, when I was looking up the seats, I found that I checked every few days, and then one day I found that somebody had canceled seats right in the middle of the theater for Poppin'party's live viewing. So I thought, okay, I can't let this opportunity go by. I snatched it up, and so there we are, and I attended yesterday. So, any case, that's how it went, and I'd like to use this opportunity to give you guys a quick report on how it all went. Alright, so first of all, as they usually do with live viewings, before the concert actually starts, like 10 minutes before, they will have a video specifically for the live viewing audience. Generally, it's it's just some stuff where they say, have a great time and blah blah blah, things of that sort of nature. In this one though, there were two funny parts that happened. One was, well, actually, they were both from Ayasa, the voice actor of Arisa. So one was she basically taught a sort of PoPiPa chant in accordance with the rhythm of boom boom clap. We'll get back more. Remember that? We'll get back to that at a later point. But she taught that part. And then also another funny thing that happened was when they were going to say goodbye. She said, basically, do your best, gambare. Which was funny, actually, and she was teased by the other members for it, because it's they who are going to be performed. There's nothing for us to do our best on. So that was a nice little touch. So anyways, the concert starts. The first song is Double Rainbow. Not really much to talk about on this one. I was mostly concentrating on what the sound quality was going to be like. And it was acceptable. I think it was a little bit lower than I would have liked. Since it is a concert, I would have liked it to be a little bit more booming, but it was okay. And also, because the previous days actually had some reports of some overly enthusiastic fans that were watching the live viewing, who were hollering and shouting and whatnot. I was also kind of worried about that as well, but thankfully nothing happened. And as my first time at a live viewing, it was really interesting to see how once the concert started, everybody's pen lights lit up, right? Unfortunately, I was hopefully unprepared for this. I've never attended these kind of things before, so I didn't have a pen light. But I think maybe at least 70% of the people there did. So that was Double Rainbow. On to Happy Happy Party. Happy Happy Party, I'm mostly lukewarm with as a song. However, I do see why they like to play this so much. It's a great song for crowd interaction, you know, with everybody waving along, happy, happy party, you know, that whole part with the pen lights. It's fun, and it looks pretty as well. So, again, unfortunately, I didn't have a pen light, so next time I will be prepared for that part. So basically, when everybody was waving, I just waved my hands, and yeah, it was fun. It was definitely a fun song. Then they went into the first MC, where they did their character intros. Not much to talk about there, but they did eventually end by Aimi asking everybody if they played Garupa, or not Garupa, Girls Band Party, the game, the mobile game. Of course, pretty much everyone answered yes. And then she also mentioned stuff on how part of the appeal of the game is with the covers, right? And so we finally get back our cover segment, our cover corner, which has always been a main staple of Poppin'party's concerts, but unfortunately for the last two, they decided to forego that corner. I mean, I guess partially it's understandable. They got a lot of their own original songs now, but at the same time, you know, it's fun to watch them cover these songs, which you're probably not going to hear much again outside of just recordings, right? Because their animes that they come from have long since stopped, so there's nobody to play them anymore. So I was glad that they started to play these songs again. So they played Kimi-chan Nakya Dame Mitai, which is the opening for... Okay, I forget. I'm not quite sure how to say that anime in English, but basically, they did actually perform this before at an Animusic concert, I believe. Although at that time, Aimi had a cold, so her vocals weren't quite up to par that time, but it was a great performance even then, where they performed with the original singers of it. So I guess you could say this one is sort of like a revenge performance, and she nailed it. So that was that. And also a big shout out to Rimi as well. I really feel like her bass goes underrated a lot of the times. Well, I mean, come on, let's be honest. Bass players are underrated everywhere, right? But this song in particular had a pretty grooving bass part, and yeah, I'm glad that the camera actually panned to her more than a few times within this performance. The next one was Only My Railgun. Once the intro started, like pretty much everybody at the theater went crazy, and apparently I think most of the people in the live audience at Budokan also went crazy as well. It's just a great song, right? I know some people have some criticism of Poppin'party's cover of this, but honestly, listening to it live, I think it's even better than the game version. And well, it was great, and Sai was just being her usual self, you know, going off and whatnot. So great to see. So that, unfortunately, they only covered 2 songs. I would have really liked if they covered Alchemy or God Knows, but I guess they had to save some for their original songs. So after Cover Corner, they decided to start showing some videos on screen. So compared to the last live, they didn't do this whole, you know, comedy stuff. Instead, they sort of structured it in an interview where they had a lot of shots of the girls in various. They were beautiful. Okay, they were beautiful and cute. So that's all I can say about that. And then they asked them lots of questions, such as, well, how did they feel for the past Budokan performance? How did they feel coming back to Budokan? You know, those kind of stuff, and so on and so forth. Now, very big emphasis at the end of every single member's interview was they asked the question, what is the next stage for Poppin'party? And so they each gave their ideas and thoughts on this. That actually did lead into a big build-up that was revealed at the end. But when I was actually listening to this, I was a little bit uneasy because it was a little bit too serious, you know. And I kept having this feeling at the back of my mind that they were actually going to announce them discontinuing Poppin'party at some point, because I've been having this thought for a long time now, and I've discussed this with some of my viewers as well during the anime review for Season 2. But, you know, these girls can't do this forever. They're still first and foremost seiyus, voice actors, and a lot of them are actually rising stars as well. So it would be completely reasonable for them to want to actually concentrate more on their careers. Because, let's face it, they're never going to be career musicians, right? Well, I probably shouldn't say never, but it's highly unlikely. So I was actually really, really uneasy that they might announce something drastic such as that. Thankfully, that did not happen, and instead, it actually went the completely opposite direction, which, again, I will review at the end. But anyways, they complete the interview 2 members at a time, and then we get back into the next songs. So first up was Sai with her solo character song. They were all short versions, right? And I feel like that was a good idea, since they already did this last time in Budokan. So just a quick little tease there. Sai's voice was off in her character song. I felt that she was straining her voice. I'm not sure if she's maybe being overworked or something, but that is something that is also kind of unsettling, because I know she can hit those notes. But anyways, her voice was just wacky, and she wasn't able to hit the very high notes. She sort of saved it by getting into the crowd again, but it was pretty obvious, at least to me, that she had some problems with her voice. Next was Aimi's or Kasumi's character song. not much to say there, just a smooth performance overall. I was kind of surprised that they actually went with these two first after the video went Hasshi and Sai, but it turns out that they were setting up for the next segment. So after Kasumi or Aimi finished her song, they did another quick MC, this time in character. Oh, by the way, they did change into their school uniforms for this segment instead of their stage uniforms. So I think, during this in character part, they were basically saying, my Japanese isn't that good. I got maybe 40% of what they were saying, but I think the general idea was that the other three were off doing work with school, so these two were free, Kasumi and Tai. So then they decided to, first of all, they decided to fool around a bit. I mean, it's been stated for a long time now that one of Kasumi's dreams is to fly during a concert. So they did try to attempt to fly here, and they mostly did it by jumping on and off the stage. That whole part was like basically watching them fall off for about a minute or so, right? And okay, I guess, congratulations, you flew in Budokan for a total of 1 second. But anyways, so that was that part, and they mainly set up for playing another song together. So they played B.O.F. and the acoustic version of it. So I believe this is the first time that they did something like this. And continue on with the 5th live, they brought back this segment again. It was the acoustic segment was cancelled in the 6th live, much to the ire of a lot of PoPiPa fans. So they brought it back, and they're really showing off the dual guitar skills as well. So in the 5th live, they played time lapse, right? And that performance was great. But at the same time, this performance, in terms of technical difficulty, blew the time-lapse performance completely out of the water. Like, Sai was doing some really, really intricate finger work there for B.O.F. And Aimi also had a part where she had a mid-song pitch shift, where she put on a capo mid-song to do it. It's not that hard of a technique, but definitely gave me a vibe of, whoa, they really are musicians. So that part was great. The only real negative for this part was that, again, Sai's voice was not completely there. She didn't mess up during B.O.F, but you could hear the strain in her voice. So hopefully she can get that fixed soon. Okay, so next part we continue on with the character songs. Hasshi was up next, and all I gotta say is she is a true professional singer. Her performance was completely flawless, like literally no negatives to say there. Then was Ayasa's, Arisa's performance. You know, that got the crowd going again. Her Chomama song is a huge crowd favorite, as you might guess. And then after that, they went into another MC segment where this time it was Arisa, Saya, and Rimi in character, again with their school uniforms. So, building on the last part with Kasumi and Tai, so these three also decided to play a song by themselves, and it turned out to be Poppin Shuffle. Now, they've played the song acoustic numerous times before already, but actually, I'm impressed every time I hear this, especially Rimi with her fretless bass. She's always doing a great job there, and she sings this time as well, because most of the time it's still Kasumi or Aimi singing, and I think this is one of the first time, yeah, I believe this is the first time that they sing this song without Aimi there, being the main vocal. Arisa also showed her confidence as well, playing the piano or keyboard and singing at the same time. I do believe she was the main vocal for this song. They did each kind of sing, but I believe the majority of it was done by Arisa. And also, Hasshi, or Saya, I'll just use them interchangeably. She finally played the cajon in this live. I do believe this is the first time that she actually did this. If you guys recall to the previous lives, she basically had this, was it castanet, tambourine, or what's that thingy called? Just, you know, just that thing on the hand which you could clap, right? Yeah, I seriously forgot what that was called. But anyways, bells or jingles or something. Anyways, but in this episode, I mean, not this episode, in this live, she actually broke out the cajones. Now, if you don't know what that is, it's sort of like this percussion instrument that's a box which you can sit on, and normally you can play it with your hands. You can also use your feet as well, or you can also use some drumsticks, which are, well, actually you should call them brushes, metal or wood brushes. So I do believe this is the first time that she showed off her skills regarding this. So then this is a true acoustic arrangement where she is also playing the percussionist parts as well. So props to her and props to the entire Poppin'party. After that, we get Rimi's solo song. Again, not much to say there. She did end with a chococorone, much to the love of the fans. And then they got another quick MC segment where they ended with basically Rimi going around and saying that she wants to send a picture to Yuri-san, who is overseas, right, according to the anime. But then again, the other members teased her and said that, no, wait a minute, Yuri was just here yesterday, because Yuri is the vocalist for Glitter Green, and she did appear in yesterday's performance along with Reise Suilin as a guest performer. So that part was funny as well. They then played the song, which, according to the story, is what Rimi wrote for her sister. It was a kind of a weird arrangement. It was half acoustic. They still used their acoustic settings, only Sai was on the electric guitar. At least that's what I remember, anyways. So with that, we conclude the acoustic corner of their concert. So continuing on, we get the next set of video interviews with Ayasa and Rimi. Again, not much to say there. Ayasa did mention for her next stage goal that she wanted to play at a dome, to host a dome concert. So maybe a little bit of foreshadowing there. And for Rimi, the special thing about her was they interviewed her about her thoughts on Light Delight and why she cries during this song. Well, long story short, it's a sentimental song for her. She really likes the lyrics, and I don't blame her. I really love it as well. And not to mention Aimi's performance on that is exquisite. Right? The emotion in that song, so good. Which actually was kind of a bummer that they didn't really play it in this concert, but I guess they had to save some songs for later. What they did play, however, at the end of this video segment, once they played What's the PoPiPa, once the introduction, the intro to this song came down, like, I was completely going bonkers. I was flipping my shit out. And from the reactions of the other people who have heard this song before, I believe they had the exact same reactions as I did. We basically went, what the fuck? Because it's a great song, right? And it's really kind of sad to me that not that many people know of this song, because even in the theater, maybe, I guess, a quarter, maybe a third of people knew of this song, and they were all going like me, whoa! Well, the rest of them were going, huh, what is this, right? It's the coupling song to their newest single, Jumpin, and it's so underrated. It is so good. And to me, it was more, I was also incredulous that they were going to play this, because it's actually, first of all, it's super new. They just released it on the 20th. Obviously, they've had this song before, but it's still, I don't think they had enough time to practice this one yet. And speaking of which, this song is actually really, really hard from a technical standpoint. So I was skeptical of that. And as it turns out, my thoughts were correct. They did not actually play this song. They only sang it. And they only sang maybe one verse and one chorus of it. So a short version. So a little bit disappointed there. But hopefully by the next live, they will get this thing nailed, and I can finally see the full performance, because this song is so good. Seriously, so good. You guys need to listen to this one. It has everything, right? It has self-references, it does the lyrics, the solos in this song, everybody has a solo. Oh, it's so good. But anyways, back to the subject matter at hand. This next part is completely high energy, starting from What's the PoPiPa, and then entering into time lapse. I'm sure you all know how big of a deal time lapse is. I really did enjoy the entire theater. Seriously, the entire theater was all going whoa, whoa at the same time, and loudly too, because for a lot of the songs, most people were kind of, even though they all had their pen lights and stuff, they didn't really chant or shout that loudly. But during time lapse, everybody was going whoa. that was fun. That was fun, and I hope one day I'll be able to go to the actual venue to chant along with all the others in person. Like that was such a great song. And I do believe that it was in this song that Aimi also had a few solos of her own before they went into Saya's solo. So also showing off a little bit more of her guitar skills as well. And yeah, it's time lapse, right? It's just that. Next one, after time lapse, they immediately follow up with Teardrops, so the tension was never left. Everybody was jumping and shouting and cheering. Okay, maybe not jumping because we were in a theater, but if it was at the venue, I'm sure people would be jumping around. Not much to say there, right? It's Teardrops, right? It's just great to watch, great to listen to, fun song, high energy song, and boy, Aimi is so damn attractive when she is playing and singing that song. Okay. So anyways, that concluded the higher, I guess you could say, high energy corner of their performance. Alright, and then after Teardrops, they had another quick round of MC. This time they're pretty much just fooling around, talking about some random stuff. I believe it was during this MC that Aimi went around to sniff the towels of the other members and commented on how nice it smelled and whatnot, much to the oohs and ahs of the audience, right? Like, they really know how to play this stuff up. But then again, it's probably also really Aimi's character as well. So that was fun. It was a fun little tidbit there. But then they followed it up with Senkai Urunda Sora, which I thought was kind of weird, right? They're being all happy and fooling around in 1 second before, and then immediately after they follow up with a super sentimental song. Now, Senkai, I've talked about a lot. Oh, actually, never mind. I've commented on this a lot, but Senkai Urunda Sora is one of my favorite PoPiPa songs. Actually, I probably think I would place it as my #1, simply because I absolutely love the lyrics and Aimi's performance on this, and as well as the instrumentals as well, which have a great layer of depth to it and complexity. So no complaints here. And I believe this is the first time they've completely played the song since they last played it in their third live. So at least 2 years now that they haven't really played it. So that was a treat for me as well. Good on them to play this one. And then they had another quick round of MC again. I don't quite remember what happened in this one, so just skip over it. And then they end with Kizuna music, right? So Kizuna music is the opening for the second season. It's a great song. Seriously, you guys should listen to the entire thing. Again, the instrumentals are great. And also, one particular thing that stood out to me here during this part was Hasshi, or Sayo. I mean, sorry, Saya, not Sayo. Saya. So she drums, and then she also has a part where she sings as well. Again, completely flawless performance. Like, seriously, she is the consummate professional. And the drums that she was doing wasn't some basic beats as well. She also had a sort of a fill part that she had to do during that part when she was singing as well. And she completely nailed it. Like, that was awesome. Like, big props to her. I should also probably mention that during this whole time, they had a special kind of stage going on where it was sort of circular, and then they were again being moved around, and then they also had different heights, different layers as well. So the keyboard and the drums were on the bottom layer, bottom height. Aimi was on an elevated platform, and sometimes Sai would also go up to play, sometimes Rimi would also go up to play as well. So that was that part. And this one, Kizuna Music, marked the final song of the, officially the final song of the performance, but as we all know, there's still encores left. After the end of the song, they leave the stage, and then there's a final VTR interview with Aimi. As it did with all the previous members as well. So in Aimi's case, when they ask about her next stage, she basically answered that she wants to play in space on the moon. So a very Aimi answer, I gotta say. And best of luck to them. Elon Musk, get on this, I guess. But anyways, yeah, I don't have anything else to comment on that. It's just Aimi being Aimi. And then we get into the encore part, right? So, you guys all know the drill. Encore this, and then they all come out. It's what it is. And then after the encore, they had another quick MC segment as well. This time, if you guys remember back to the very beginning, there was you remember the PoPiPa chant, right? So the PoPiPa chant basically goes like this: PoPiPa, PoPiPa, PoPiPa. You get what this beat should be very familiar to basically everybody, right? If you don't know this song, are you living under a rock? So Ayasa, Arisa's voice actor, she basically got this thing going again, and then asked the whole arena to join in with the chant of PoPiPa. And then so after a few rounds of this, she started saying, we will, and then instantly was tackled, stopped by the other members. No, don't sing that. You're gonna get copyright struck or something like that. And yeah, that part was hilarious. You could see it coming a mile away, but that doesn't change the fact that it was funny as heck. So that was that part. After that, they went to play Circling. Another great song, another great crowd interaction song. Everybody was going like this, right? It's not much else to talk about that part. It's just a just a great song in general. And then after that, they had another round of talk where they said they had an announcement to make in regards to where they're playing next. So by this time, everybody was already kind of thinking, or at least I was kind of thinking, that it had to be something big, otherwise they wouldn't keep on saying this next stage thing, right? So they had this really special video announcement there, where eventually it turned into, okay, we're going to host a battle of the bands with Silent Siren. Now, most of you here probably do not know who Silent Siren is, and I don't blame you. They're not that famous outside of Japan. But here's the deal, right? In Japan, the girl band industry has had a big revitalization sometime in the 2010s, courtesy of mainly Scandal and K-On! It's because of them that we have this huge boom of girl bands, where seriously, if you guys actually go try to research this, you'll find there's tons of girl bands in Japan right now. It's probably the biggest girl band industry in the world, and it's all pioneered by Scandal and K-On! Silent Siren could be, at least for me, probably the number 2 girl band in terms of popularity or influence, right after Scandal. So just to give a quick introduction to Silent Siren, the most interesting thing about them is that they were all former magazine models that then decided to form a band as a hobby, and then they were signed to a record label, music label, and then they basically just got big, right? And I mean, they are 4 very attractive, very beautiful females who are playing real music, right? Of course, they're unlike Scandal. They are a little bit more limited by by their capabilities. They don't write their own songs, their producer does, but they do write their own lyrics. And their biggest claim to fame, besides being former magazine models, is that they are also the fastest group to host a Budokan performance in terms of girl bands. Right now, this record was later shattered by Poppin'party, although some don't view this as a legitimate passing or a legitimate record, right? Because it's kind of debatable whether or not you want to have this kind of record to be the earliest girl band in that performed at Budokan. So Silent Siren was the record holder, and then Poppin'party, they counted it from their major debut. And then, if you're really going to get technical for this, I guess you could also say Reise Suilen, due to them performing here during day 2, maybe. But honestly, that part is even more debatable than Poppin'party. So, anyways, that's on an tangent. So, in any case, what I'm trying to get at is Silent Siren are kind of a big deal in the Japanese music industry, and I honestly did not expect this, right? For them to actually have a battle of the bands with a legitimate and big, prominent girl band. So that was interesting, and it begs the question: Are these girls seiyus? Are they voice actors, or are they actually musicians now, right? And by the way, one thing that I haven't even mentioned yet is that the venue is going to be at MetLife Dome. So MetLife Dome, aka Seibu Dome, is one of the big domes of Japan, where it's generally used for sport events, but lots of concerts are held there as well. And just to give some perspective, Seibu Dome or MetLife Dome can host 30,000 people at once, over 30,000 people at once. To put into comparison, the Budokan can host about 10,000 people. So this one concert for one day will hold 3 times as many people as they managed to gather during this one day of concert. Or you can say that all 3 days of Bandary's concerts added together would equal one Seibu Dome. So that is a huge deal, and it is definitely not something that any band or any artist can actually think of achieving. They're gonna really have to work their ass off to fill those seats. I do believe they can probably manage it. You combine Silent Siren fans with Poppin'party fans, and also because the opening acts will be Roselia and Reise Suilen, probably some fans of those bands will come as well. Yeah, I do believe that they will be able to completely fill it. But anyways, that was and also it's fitting that they are the ones who accept this challenge, and it's these people, because Poppin'party, I feel like they do have the technical capabilities to go toe-to-toe with Silent Siren at this point. Reise Suilen would actually be an even better I mean, Reise Suilen are much better technique-wise. I don't think there's any dispute on that. But they haven't been as established yet, so it makes sense for Poppin'party to spearhead this one. And Silent Siren, they're also not the most technically advanced of the girl bands, right? So it should be a pretty even match, actually. So I am looking forward to this. And also, they did bring Silent Siren out, the actual members, so they had this kind of... It was kind of funny watching them interact on the stage. They're basically both kind of shy to each other. And then, they tried to attempt to actually generate some rivalry, saying some big words or stuff. But honestly, it felt more like a elementary school fight than any actual... Yeah, that part was just hilarious, watching them interact. And also... What other thing? So basically they did the announcements, they left, and as they were leaving, Poppin'party, and especially Aimi, were in the back saying how nice Silent Siren smelled. So there's that for all you Yuri lovers out there. So that is that. After that, they did another MC where they each said their closing thoughts. Some were long and sentimental, like Sai's or Rimi's. Some were pretty short and to the point, like Hashi's and Ayasa's. And when it finally came turn for Aimi to do her thoughts, it seemed that she wanted to say something, but then decided against it, or didn't really have much to say, and then she basically just fooled around, shaking hands with all the other members, thank you for being here, that kind of stuff, and then ending with, okay, that's enough, let's go play. So that part was also funny as well. And so finally, for the conclusion, they played Jumpin, which was fitting, considering that this concert was called Jumpin Music. So yeah, that at the very end, they made everybody in the arena also jump at the same time as they did. Not sure if they succeeded or not. It's kind of hard to time these, especially with the acoustics and the time delay, but we'll see in the Blu-ray, I guess. So that was that, and then they did a quick round of thanks and bowing through all the 4 sides, and then eventually just ran off. They did mention, please go home and eat dinner and also eat bread. So some final jokes before they left. But anyways, overall, yeah, it was a great experience. It was a great experience. I honestly did not know what I was coming into when I went to the live viewing, and I feel like I came out of it wanting more. I want more. When it was at the final song, I was actually getting a little bit sentimental myself, since I knew that this was the last song and it was actually going to end now. I really wanted to sit there and watch and listen to more. And, well, hopefully I will be able to attend their 8th live. Would it be their 8th live? Or at least their Dome concert in person, because I think that would be awesome. Although, just to give some closing thoughts on that part as well, Dome is not exactly... It's a kind of weird dome, because it's a little bit far out from Tokyo. It's in Saitama. And also, so the traffic conditions aren't that great. And also, it gets cold in the winter and hot in the summer. It's a sort of an open air dome, right? So hopefully they'll be able to host a good live performance there. Besides that part, actually, one thing I also want to comment on that is I kind of feel like they're overworking Poppin'party. Especially, like, come on, with Roselia and Race of Sweden, their next concerts are in July and August respectively, and now you push Poppin'party forward to May. Like, it's less than 3 months actually, because I believe it's May 18th and 19th. It's less than 3 months for their Dome concert. That is actually kind of insane to me, that they are trying to schedule these in such short term and such short notice. Especially considering with, Sae's problem with her voice, and also Ayasa was wearing headphones the entire time. I assume it was to muffle the sounds so that she doesn't get hearing problems. Hopefully, yeah, hopefully they are going to be able to get some rest so that they can perform properly. I do feel like I would have been fine waiting until September, right? So then we have a concert in July, August, September. But hopefully the management knows what they're doing. So that concludes my my report for this live viewing. Let me know if you guys have any other questions. Again, to me, it was great. I will definitely continue to support PoPiPa. I will definitely continue to try and watch their events live if I can find the time for it. So that has been that. Let me know if you have any questions, and I'll see you guys next time, if you stay around for my channel anyways, since I guess you're free to check out my other content. Anyways, bye bye.